أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Since we are in the Ayam Fatimiyya, let's read the short ziyarah of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha, and inshallah start our fifth session. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا ممتحنة امتحنك الله الذي خلقك قبل أن يخلقك فوجدك لما امتحنك صابرة وزعمنا أن لك أولياء ومصدقون وصابرون لكل ما أتانا به أبوك صلى الله عليه وآله وأتى به وفيه فإنا نسألك إن كنا صدقناك إلا ألحقتنا بتصديقنا لهما لنبشر أنفسنا بأننا قد طهرنا بولايتك صلى الله عليك يا مولاتنا يا فاطمة. Again, Assalamu alaikum everyone. So thanks for your flexibility for like two changes. We had one to have it earlier, like this week instead of next week, which is Thanksgiving week. So we thought that would be better. I think we announced it last session. Also, as I mentioned, there were some logistics issues, so we had to do it online. Which we have a good number of folks online, which is great. All right, so you may recall we were talking about the Quranic verses related to the topic of imamah. And we discussed the important verse of imamah of Ibrahim, as we call in Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, it's mentioned the story of Prophet Ibrahim when Allah tested him after successful passing of the tests. Ibrahim received the title of imamah, or was promoted to the rank of imamah. So we went to details and discussed, and we finished by some of the narrations from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam to understand even better the verse and the implications from that verse. Anyone has any question, any follow-up, any ambiguity, any, I don't know, if you had any research after we discuss anything before we go to the next ayah? Okay. But you still can hear me, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. All right. So, all right, before I go to the next slide and you see the ayah that we're going to discuss, I wanted to have like just a note that, of course, this is not your first Islamic seminar or gathering or class, whatever we call it. You have other like studies on your own, or just yeah, like what I wanted to say is, like, there are a lot of verses in Quran about the topic of imamah. I may skip the ones that are actually more famous and you may have heard about them more, like the verse for Eid al-Ghadir or Ul al-Amr or Ayat Tathir. Unless, or in case there are like questions, or you have heard like doubts, misconceptions, you want to bring it up, share it with me, I will discuss. But I try to go to, discuss some other ayat that you may have heard less and they're interesting, like the ayah of imamah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which we talked about. Okay, With that, let's go to one of the most important ayat, which is ayah of what is called Ayah Wilayah. So we're gonna read the ayat, and I want to ask, heads up, be ready. We have everyone online now, so I may ask friends to read the English pieces of some of the slides. So together, like last couple of sessions, inshallah, we'll move forward. This is one of the, again, most important ayat about imamah and wilayah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. Your guardian is only Allah, His apostle, and the faithful who maintain the prayer and give the zakah while bowing down. So the ayah is very interesting. There are a couple of points that are mentioned here, and then what I'm gonna do is first go through the ayah, like having some Arabic discussions, and then go to some of the misconceptions or shubahat brought up mainly by Fakhreddin Razi, the Sunni scholar. And you may have heard here and there, I have seen, I mean, in recent years that they are still around. Exact same thing that Fakhr Razi has said centuries ago, they still bring it up, so they are relevant to be discussed. Okay, so please, I know this is online session. I don't see your face. But please pay attention. These ayat that we're going to discuss tonight, they need attention, and so to get these points. The ayah, or maybe actually that's good. Before I start talking about it, what have you heard about this ayah? Anyone want to share anything that you know or you have heard or you learned about this ayah? Anyone, please? I appreciate, again, if you can have it a dialogue. Or this is the first time. Yes, go ahead, Sister Nawal.
That the one who's giving zakat while bowing down is in reference to Imam Ali alayhi salam.
Yes. Correct. So this is about that story that Imam Ali alayhi salam gave zakah while in ruku'. Again, I want to hear before I, present those, any questions or misconceptions or shubahat about this ayah you may have heard from your non-Shia friends or, again, social media, other places. Are you comfortable using this ayah in the context of imamah if you were asked?
Can I say something?
Absolutely, please.
Yes, I think I've heard of this like ayah like once, but looking into it right now, I would be comfortable to like use it as like a reference to the Prophet and Imama, because like in this, like God is telling us like our wilayah is him, but after that is Rasulullah, and uh anyone who is like faithful, maintains a prayer and gives zakat, which is referring to Imama because that's what they do. So I would be comfortable like to have this evidence from the Quran as a proof that that we have imamah.
Okay. Of course, not to break your comfort, and but to have, for the sake of discussion, if you were asked, for example, are you telling me this ayah is saying that if I or someone else has faith, is believer, and prays, and happen to be in a position that in the ruku he pays zakat, For example, there is a charity box next to him and they are praying next to it, and then they put money into that. Does he become an imam? Is that ayah saying so?
I so for anybody who does that, I don't think they become imam because like it's only like in God's commands like who becomes imam.
It is what command? Sorry, let me just
Um
use go ahead.
it's in Allah's like it's from Allah's like commands like he permits whoever becomes imam like so it's not really like up to us to decide who is imam and who isn't. So if someone was to do that, like I would say like they're like pious believers, but not exactly imam.
Okay, the fact that the imams or the prophets are appointed by Allah is something we talked about and makes sense. But don't you think, according to this ayah, it is giving a criteria? Whoever meets these criteria will be the guardian.
To me, it does sound like that, but don't you also have to take into context the like when this ayah was revealed?
Good point. Yep. Again, I know the misconception, so I'm trying to have the kind of warm up questions. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? All right. So please now pay attention to the flow of our basically discussion and argument here. The ayah has exclusivity in it from Arabic perspective. What it means is the word innama at the beginning of the ayah. Let me go back and talk about it while you see the ayah, and then I will go to this slide again. The word or the article innama, when it is used in Arabic, it brings exclusivity, meaning only and only. Okay, which helps us to understand the meaning and the implication. When the ayah has the exclusivity, first of all, the word wali, we also want to know what it means, right? Because it has a lot of meanings, as you all know and heard about it in the context of, for example, the hadith ghadir and the wali or mawla. When it is exclusive, saying that only and only these three groups or three people, whatever we call them, are your wali, it means that it is not about friendship, it is guardianship, right? Why? Because if it was about friendship, it wouldn't be exclusive. For example, I have a friend that he's Muslim and he prays, and for example, he didn't have a chance to do zakat while in prayer. He's not my friend, he is my friend. So that exclusivity will break. So the ayah is not about friendship, it's about guardianship, wilayah from that perspective. So when that is the case, okay, the ayah is pointing out to the very exclusive group of believers, Allah, Prophet, and a group of believers. So there is a concept I wanted to talk about, and hopefully it will be understandable. So when we are describing something, okay, in Arabic, it's also in English and any language. This is like something related to language, and when we are talking or writing, it's used, but in Arabic it has a specific term. So let me start with example. I may come to the class, for example, I'm a teacher. I come to the class and say, my favorite student, for example, my favorite student is those the ones that, for example, get A in all exams. What does it mean? It means the wasf, the description that I provided has relevance, is a criteria to be part of that group, or for example, my favorite students, right? In Arabic, that is called wasf muqawwim. That anyone in the class, if you try hard, if you work hard, and then you get A in all exams, then you are going to be my favorite student in the class. But there's another use case or usage of, or another wasf description, which is different. Let me give an example. I come to the class and I say, the favorite student, my favorite student in the class is the one that wears the yellow shirt today. What everyone will do then? Everyone will look around and say, oh, who did he mean? You don't understand from what I said that, oh, let's go change our shirt to yellow so we become the favorite student in the class. Does that make sense? The difference between these two types of description, or description that I provided, is it clear? Please use chat, or if possible, open your cameras so I can have some feedback, making sure that what I say makes sense, or at least it's clear. So there, again, let me repeat one more time, and then I'll ask if you could understood. Sometimes when we are giving the description, okay, wasf in Arabic, the criteria that I'm describing has relevance to the subject. For example, I love students who get A in all exams in this semester. Okay? So everyone can try, study, so they get A's, and then they will be loved by the teacher. But sometimes the description that I provide is basically mushir. Mushir in Arabic means like pointing out. For any reason, for some wisdom, I don't want to directly name them. I give a description of a person that is already identified, but I am pointing out to them by giving that description. I say my favorite student, for example, again, as I said, is the one who wears a yellow jacket and wears eyeglasses. By saying that, if someone doesn't wear those, would not go crazy and say, oh, let me grab a yellow shirt or yellow jacket and put eyeglasses. No. That was just a description to point out to someone that I already knew, I already picked, I already had in mind, but wanted to get your attention maybe instead of naming them or making you go around, find him, or for any other reason. There these I just want to make sure that you understand the difference between these two types of description that when they are used. The first one is called wasf muqawwim.
The second one is called wasf mushir. Is the difference clear? Any question? Great. Thank you, Zainab. Okay, good. All right. So back to the ayah. The question that we have is the description in the ayah. Where is the description? Here is the description. الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. This is a description of الذين آمنوا. Bear with me. Your guardian is only and only Allah, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and believers. Not all of them. Two الذين use. Believers, those that they pray, they maintain prayer and pray zakah while they are in ruku. So when we know first, we establish that the ayah is not talking about friendship, because friendship is not exclusive. We are allowed, we are actually encouraged as a Muslim to have friends even from non-Muslims, as long as they're not enemies, as long as they're not fighting with us, with Muslims, and killing them. You can be a friend with your Christian neighbor, with your, I don't know, Jew's friend, whatever. And all, of course, Muslims. They don't have to be paying zakah while they are in ruku so they can be your friend. From that exclusivity, we understood that the ayah is talking about guardianship, not friendship. And then from that, because it is limited, the wasf, the description in the ayah is wasf mushir, not muqawwam. It is pointing out to certain group of people or specific person that did this act, and now Allah is pointing out to them using this description. Any question? So after this, so step number 1 is the exclusivity. Step number 2, guardianship, not friendship. Step number 3, pointing out to the wasf mushir versus wasf muqawwam. Now we go to the occasion of revelation or sha'n nuzul, which is afterward. Like first we establish the foundation from Quran. Now we want to understand Allah is pointing out to someone as our guardian. So as a Muslim, as a believer, it is on us to go and find that person. See who he meant, because he's our guardian, he's our wali, and like next to Allah and Prophet in the ayah. So we go and we see. Inshallah, we'll go through the sources. Any volunteer to read the one of the stories or one of the narrations in that context, please? One at a time, please.
I can read it. Oh,
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
But
So according to some hadiths, once a poor man entered al-Masjid al-Nabawi and asked for help, but no one helped him. He rose his hands to the sky and said, "O Allah, witness that I asked for help in the mosque of your Prophet, but no one helped me." Meanwhile, Imam Ali, who was praying and was in Ruka', signaled the poor with his right hand. The poor man came and took out the ring, and the verse was revealed.
okay. So this is one basically common version or frequently narrated version of the story, which basically is narrated in um, a lot of non-Shia Sunni scholars' books and also in the Shia references. So, and it is important to know that this story, the story that was narrated as we read, is narrated by many of ashab, the companions, that probably they were all eyewitness because they were in the Masjid Nabawi, when this occasion happened. So Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abu Rafi', Ammar ibn Yasir, Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Anas ibn Malik, Miqdad, and then from the Tabi'een, the ones that they come after or they came after companions, we have also a long list that they basically narrated this story. So there are many of those, and then the story itself is narrated in a couple of books that I'm mentioning here. There are more, but again, for the uh, just to be short, just these are like 4 examples or 4 scholars that they have narrated this story in their books. Nisa'i, again, these are important, and as you can see, they are earliest scholars. They were like 4th century. Uh, Actually, all of them are in the 4th century. Baladhuri, Ibn Abi Hatam, and Tabari in his tafsir. So, again, quick review. Quran says exclusively, you believers, you have 3 guardians: Allah, Prophet, and believers, those that by pointing out to one of their description, they are maintaining prayer and they give zakah while they are in ruku. And that is confirmed that by the story and the Sha'n Nuzul, the occasion of revelation, that Imam Ali alayhi salam was the one who did this, and this ayah came. So Imam Ali is the one exemplar of that alladhina aman. Any question on the ayah, on the argument we presented? Does that make sense? Do you have any pushbacks, any challenge, any, again, question? All right. So in the next step, I want to point out to some of the questions or challenges that non-Shias they bring up related to this ayat, to push back and to basically reject our argument. The list is very long, and I decided not to burden you, and I thought that might be too much. In some classes we go through that maybe in 2 or 3 sessions, like Fakhreddin Razi, which we have mentioned his name a couple of times in this class. He is called Imamul Mushakkikin, like the Imam. We are in the Imamah, right? He is the Imam, the leader of the doubters, the ones that they bring doubts and questions. And so basically, he has tried in his book, Tafsir, to, I can say literally, like every single word in the ayah to challenge. Like, Innama, of course, not Allah and her Rasul, but after Alladhina yuqimuna salah, like all of those, somehow he tried to challenge. So I thought that might be kind of boring, and not boring, but time consuming and not be of everyone's interest. So I decided to pick 1 or 2 that are kind of more relevant or might be interesting to hear, and then see what you think. And then if you, again, as I said, have any other question related to ayah, please bring it up so we can discuss. Okay, who is ready for the challenge? Because I'm going to ask the question first and see how you answer that. So the ayah, as you all saw, is using plural pronoun, الذين, they. If the ayah was talking about Imam Ali and was one person, pointing out one person, it is wrong that it is using a plural pronoun and saying they. Let me bring the ayah again one more time and see what you think and how do you respond. You called it this Ayah Wilayah, one of the strongest ayah that you use to support your belief in Imam Ali alayhi salam. But the ayah says, and the faithful who maintain the prayer and give. Okay, I mean, of course it's correct in English, who, but those maintain the prayer, alladhina. It's not singular. It doesn't say alladhi, the one. Your guardian is Allah, Prophet, and believers. The one that prays, maintain prayer, and pays zakat while in ruku'. What do you think? How do you respond? Anyone? Does the question make sense?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So the argument you Shia presented was that the ayah is pointing out specifically after Allah and Prophet to Imam Ali alayhi salam, right? By giving that description, right? Wasn't that your argument? Now we switch the slide of the tables, right? I think that was Sister Noor. That was your argument, right? That the ayah is pointing out, telling us your guardian is Allah, Prophet, and Imam Ali. Instead of saying Imam Ali, ayah gave a description of him. Peace.
Yeah.
Okay. You're also Arab, so you understand it even better. When it is referring to Imam Ali, why it said الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ? Should that be الَّذِي يُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتِ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُوَ رَاكِعٌ? Why all of these references, pronouns, or verbs, all of them are in the form of plural instead of singular? If that was a specific to one person, being Imam Ali alayhi salam, it should have been yes, exactly. That was the question. Yes, Sayyidi Sapur. So it should have been الذي يقيم الصلاة ويؤتى الزكاة وهو راكع. But it is saying plural.
Could it be that it's not just him, but also his descendants?
Yes, that's a good answer. But can you sell that to non-Shias?
Probably not.
Okay, good. So that's our answer. I'll explain that we have a hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So what you said is correct, is actually the higher level answer. But we keep it for ourselves to enjoy the ayah, to be enlightened by the ayah even more. But for the argument, when we are like not debating, but discussing this with non-Shias, we try to stick to bare minimums and things that are easier to understand. Again, while your answer is correct, let's start with the something that is easier to digest for non-Shias. Any other thought? Yusuf and or anyone else? So, let me go to our slides. Okay, for some reason I duplicated the slide. All right. So 2 answers. One is for non-Shias, one is for us to understand why is the reason, which Sister Noor already hinted about. But let's just start for the first group. Okay. There's a answer in the chat. Maybe it's kind of a respectful language. That's correct. But let's just start with the higher level like answer in general. First, when we confirmed or established the argument that the wasf, the description in ayah is mushir, then the exemplar, the one that basically met that description can be one, although I use the plural form. From the grammar perspective, that's fine. That's okay. That's correct. It's not wrong. Let me give an example. Back to our original example. When I say my favorite students are the ones that, for example, they wear yellow jacket tonight, I still can use the plural form, but I mean one person. That's not wrong technically, because that's wasf mushir. On top of that, which maybe the second part might be better because it's again Quranic references. It's very interesting. There are other examples in Quran that everyone agrees about this story, and Quran has used the plural form, but it meant one individual, one person, or two, not plural, because in Arabic we can have one, dual, or plural. So let's quickly look at those ayat, then I'll pause if you have any pushbacks or questions. Look at this ayah. يقولون الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. Can anyone read the translation of the ayah, please?
I can read it.
I appreciate it, please.
Those to whom the people said, all the people have gathered against you, so fear them. That only increased them in faith, and they said, Allah is sufficient for us, and He is an excellent trustee.
It's funny because it is not a Sunni Shia debate. Everyone agrees about the story behind this ayah, that basically they tried to scare Muslims, and by like spreading rumors or false news to scare them. That guy, like Annas means people. Quran is using a plural form, right? الذين قال لهم الناس, people. But that people, which was just one person, his name was Nu'aym ibn Mas'ud. I put it on the screen. So the story says that Abu Sufyan gave him like 10 camels, 10 Teslas, right, to go and spread the news and make Muslims scared of the mushrikeen, so they can basically the media fight, right, to go and spread those news, and we give you this money, do this. So he came to Muslims, and then actually, unfortunately, a lot of Muslims decided not to go with the Prophet ﷺ, and in that story, Prophet with 70 people, which were the ones that were wounded in the Battle of Uhud, they went with Prophet. Again, that's something else we can discuss, but this is an example of an ayah in Quran that the plural form is used, but the person who the ayah is referring to was just one person, was not plural, was not a group of people. The other one, I go quickly over them, just you have seen them. The ayah in Surah Al-Munafiqun, again, they يقولون, they say, لئن رجعنا إلى المدينة لا يخرجن الأعز منها الأذل. When we return to the city, The mighty will surely expel the weak from it. So again, this story, those people that Quran is referring to, was the head of the hypocrites, which was Abdullah ibn Ubay. It's very interesting that Allame Amini, my point is this is an important discussion. Allame Amini, Rizwanullah alayhi, has gathered 20 ayah in Quran with the similar construct, that a plural pronoun or verb is used, but everyone agrees that it refers to one person or two. And with that, no one came back and say, oh, because the ayah is talking about plural, those narrations are false, for example. No, it's something that we understand as mentioned by Sister Bahara online. She put it in the chat. There are other reasons for that. Like sometimes it is about its greatness. Like, for example, the news was so big, or the plot of the mushrikeen or munafiqeen was big, so it's referred to as they, although it was just one person. Or, for example, out of respect, you may use plural. With that, any question? Does that make sense? Like, so the question was why the ayah used the plural form, although you are claiming that it is referring to Imam Ali alayhi salam. The answer was that's okay. That doesn't reject or weaken our argument, because that's something that we have other examples in Quran. We just mentioned 2. There are 20 plus ayah with the same or similar implication. But this is the answer that I personally, it's very good that we use for non-Shias to answer their question. Is it that the plural form is used when it isn't actually identifying the exact person? Yes, that also is true and correct. Makes sense. When I'm not specifically pointing out to the person that I'm identifying, I use a plural form. Even nowadays we have it, right? When you are referring to someone that you want to be generic, like you say they, right? Which is okay from that perspective. Yes, in English we do that. Exactly, that's correct, and that something makes sense. But on top of that, we gave Quranic examples that Quran has used this pattern. This is an accepted pattern in Arabic, and specifically in Quranic language. So don't reject the argument of Ayah Wilayah because it is plural. However, now we go to the second layer, which is maybe the more important reason why it is like that, which I want to actually tell you a secret also that answers the question that always we are asked, why, for example, the name of Imam Ali was not mentioned in Quran. The ayah is actually pointing out to all the imams. The first example, the one that because of that occasion the ayah was revealed, was Imam Ali alayhi salam. And of course, Quran is talking about the concept and pointing out it doesn't make sense that Quran comes and say إنما وليكم الله ورسوله وعلي والحسن والحسين ومحمد, like that. Why? Because that's not something that everyone is aware of, everyone can get, and those are the details that generate it. Will the ayah the way that it is till now we can discuss and have discussion about and go to understand how it is referring us to the ones that we have to go and find. But if there was only the names like that for general public back then at the time of Prophet doesn't make sense. And also for others that they are not familiar with this, the ayah will be weird. Like, you see what I'm saying? But beside that, ayah is using the plural form, but referring to the Imams alayhimus salam. But first, and the most, I mean, available example at that time was Imam Ali alayhi salam. So with that, let's read a hadith, and then I will, or let's look at the chat. Then we read the hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. They asked, but why is that done if we should know the actual identity? Makes sense. There are, yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes. So, so the ayah still is wasf mushir, pointing out, but pointing out to 12 imams, salawatullah alayhim ajma'in. One of them was at that time present, so ayah came for him, not only for him, but just pointing out to this. So let's read the hadith together. I want to skip the Arabic, but I put them on the slides just in case later we want to share the slides so you have the full reference. The hadith in the Kitab al-Kafi, and narrated from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who explains the story and the ayah and how we use that. Anyone, any volunteer to read the story for us, please?
I can read.
Thank you.
Imam as-Sadiq said, regarding the words of God, your only guardian is God, his messenger, and those who believe. What it means is, the one who has the greatest authority over you, that is, the one most entitled to you, your affairs, yourselves, and your wealth, is God, his messenger, and those who believe. And what is meant by those who believe is Ali and his children, the Imams, until the day of resurrection.
The hadith continues. Don't escape Zainab yet. But one point here, what it means, this is interesting, that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is elaborating on the word wali, like the second point that we mentioned after exclusivity. The wali here is not friend, because friend, we are not, the Quran is not exclusive about, like, oh, only your friends are those. No, actually, this is the guardianship, and the guardianship in this context goes to أولى بكم أي أحق بكم وبأموركم وأنفسكم وأموالكم, like the way that we believe and we see the Imams, who has the greatest, has the authority over you, your wealth, your affairs, yourselves, everything. Okay, so and Imam mentions Imam Ali alayhi salam and his offspring. Continue, please.
Then God described them further, saying, those who establish prayer give zakat while they are in ruku. He continued, the commander of the faithful was in the dhuhr prayer and had completed 2 units. Then God revealed this verse about him, and he made the blessing upon his children a continuation of his blessing upon him. Thus, everyone among his offspring who reaches the station of imamat will possess the same quality. Like him, they give charity while in the state of bowing. And the beggar who asked the commander of the faithful was an angel, and likewise those who ask the imams from among his offspring are angels.
Okay, did you know that? That the beggar in the masjid, he was an angel. So he was, again, because that was wasf mushir, pointing out, and that story, that scene, that occasion has happened for all the imams. We know it or we don't know it, again, because this is wasf mushir. It was not wasf muqawwim that we had to go and confirm from that perspective. So this, again, this is an answer for us. We are not discussing this for non-Shias because we don't need to, right? We can say we believe this ayah is talking about all the imams, but don't worry about it. From the Arabic perspective, it's absolutely okay to use a plural form. But we know actually the plural had to be plural because the ayah is referring to imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And Allah basically sent that angel to be in the form of a human in the masjid, asking for that, and Imam Ali does that, so everyone see who was the exemplar of this ayah. It was a person, it looked like the person, but actually he was an angel. And as you know,
Yeah, when I
angels.
was, oh, sorry.
No,
When
no,
I
no, go
was
ahead.
like, yeah, when I was like reading like the story of like the beggar, I imagined it as a person, but what I didn't like expect was like an angel like in the form of a person.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it because
So
the Muslims in the masjid also didn't expect that to be an angel. Now Imam Sadiq is telling us the secret. Sorry, go ahead, Sister Zahra.
oh no, I'm just saying like subhanAllah, like that's very like that's very like that's very miraculous.
Yes, yes. Very, very interesting. I think, yeah, I think most of even Shias don't have not heard about this, which is again is a higher level or deeper level. Let me mention this point here for our friends here after like 5 sessions of discussion. Quran is like an ocean uh, without any limit, without any ending. You enjoy, and there are a lot to see on the surface level. There is no end to it, okay? Like an ocean. If you are sitting on the ocean shore and then looking at the ocean, it's vast. It's never ending. But if you have a talented, qualified captain that can take you on a ship, take you deep in the ocean, and even dive into ocean, you will see gems, pearls, things that are miraculous, things beyond imagination that at the that far look you didn't expect. Like supposedly you didn't know about like ocean. It's just water, amazing, a lot. But point being, Quran, in an apparent meaning, it's amazing, is miracle of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no doubt about it. But when we go to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they reveal the gems that without going there with those experts, we were not able to see those pearls and gems from the ocean. Does that make sense? Point being, I mean, I wish I had time and we could have similar discussions, for example, about the Ayat al-Tathir, that we all heard about Ayat al-Tathir. We all read Hadith al-Kasa. But there are a lot deeper levels, deeper gems and pearls buried in those ayat that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have explained for those that they want to be enlightened. They want to listen and learn and are eager to receive the message of Allah. I don't know. I hope that distinguishment that I did just makes sense and you can understand what I mean. Example, the great example is this ayah. Ayah Wilayah, always we know, for thousands of years, our scholars, they have used to argue with non-Shias. And I mean, from the Imams alayhim salam, we have seen this. They always use that. But that's the surface level, which is still amazing, right? but there is a deeper level there buried underneath that when it's revealed, you're like, wow, subhanallah. That was mind-blowing. And we have a lot of those. Me with my limited, not even limited, without any knowledge. I have a couple of those, which I really like when discussing with friends that see, did you expect this being behind this ayah? Inshallah, I'll mention some of those in this course. So this hadith states that this occasion has occurred to all of the imams. Yes. I think we have, first of all, we have this hadith that itself is enough, right? Which is from Kitab al-Kafi. I believe we have others that mention these stories, but we don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Because this is telling us about the whole package, about like the ayah and its description and how it is pointing out to everyone and explaining why in reality a plural form was used. Okay. Any question? Again, as I said, Ayah Wilayah can be discussed in 3-4 sessions, but I didn't want to do that because this course is not a good medium for that. But if anyone has any other question or you have faced any other misconceptions about the ayah, feel free to bring it up. Inshallah, we'll discuss. With that, let's go quickly to another ayah. It's 7:30. I hope we can finish all. We may finish imamah tonight, not imamah, but the little like discussion that I prepared, and inshallah from next session we may go to the next topic of the course, which will be addressing some of the misconceptions about things, questions that they ask from Shias. All right, so the next ayah is the ayah about صادقين, the truthful. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Sister Zahra, can you please read the translation? So each Zahra is thinking I meant the other Zahra, right?
Oh, are you referring to me?
Now your microphone is open, so please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, that's fine.
Oh, you have faith. Be wary of Allah and be with the truthful.
How is that ayah related to imamah? O believers, be wary of Allah and be with the truthful. Don't lie, be a good person. Lying is bad. Isn't that the moral of the story of the ayah? I see some friends that they were in Imam Mahdi in Quran class in the past. Any thought? Anyone else? Okay, let me see the chat. Imam Ali is Siddiq Akbar. Okay, how can you prove that from this ayah? The question is, I mean, honestly, you should bring the question back to me because I'm the one who presented this. But the question was, how is that ayah related to imamah? Remember where we are talking about the roots of our belief in Quran, right? So we talked about continuity of divine representative. We talked about prophethood. We talked about the ranks and ranks of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we talked about imamah, and in the imamah, I think this is the third ayah that I picked. Again, there is no necessarily an order. We talked about Imam of Ibrahim. We talked about Ayah Wilayah. Now I'm saying this ayah. O believers, be wary of Allah and be with the truthful. So how is that related to imamah? Is it related, the imams that you believe in? Okay, let's see. In the chat. When it says to be with the truthful, we believe that Imam Ali was the truthful, and this verse tells you to be with him. Does that make sense? Others, does that make sense? Do you buy that? Do you feel comfortable sharing that with your peers in MSA or somewhere else?
I think that it makes sense, but I mean, they could be talking about anyone that's truthful. They could be talking about the prophet.
Okay. Okay. And then be with Imam Ali, said Mudabbir. Okay, but how is that relevant to me? So it's only for one Imam? Is it not just putting it as a statement of fact about Imamah rather than it seems as a command? It does make sense, and I did think that's what it was referring to. Okay. It is a command. كونوا مع الصادقين. The ayah doesn't say like do not lie, or it doesn't say, it's very interesting. I mentioned it before. This is Quran. This is the word of Allah. Every single letter matters. If we don't understand, that's our negligence and ignorance. So the ayah could have said, be truthful. كن صادقا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا صادقين. Right? Again, Arab friends, correct me if my grammar was wrong. كونوا صادقين. Be truthful. Always say the truth. But here, Quran is saying كونوا مع الصادقين. Be with the truthful. And it's a command. Be with them. With them. It's very interesting point here. It doesn't say be truthful. Of course we have to be truthful. But be with the truthful. Meaning it is a command, but Imamah already possess these qualities. So why command it? I think maybe it's a statement to us who are not, so that we understand that's what is possessed by those who are Imam. Okay, good point. Let's have the discussion. So the ayah is commanding us to be with the group of people that Allah is calling them truthful. So, truthful, Sadiq. Who is Sadiq? Can you call me Sadiq? How can you verify if I am truthful? Or anyone else? You see what I'm saying? How and what is that Sadiq? Is it Sadiqul Qawl in what I say? Sadiqul Amal in what I act? In matching what I say with what I act? What about in my intention? What about the hidden thoughts that I have or anyone else and you don't see? How can you tell that someone is Sadiq? Ahsant. The only absolute truthful are the ones who are infallible. Again, remember the signature of Allah that I mentioned before last week, and I think weeks before. This is the signature of Allah. If it was a general command, if it was an ethical command, moral command to be truthful, Allah would have said, be truthful. I want you to be truthful and do not lie. But it is different command. It is saying be together, be with who? With the group that I, Allah, am calling them the truthful. As-Sadiqeen. As-Sadiqeen, that Allah is putting his signature on. It's not just they don't lie. They don't lie, of course, at any time, at anywhere. They don't think, they don't have a wrong intention, they don't do anything that is not sadiq. Because truthful, if I have anything wrong in my intention, then I'm not truthful when I say I am a believer, right? How can I mean, sorry, but I'm a liar when I say, oh Allah, I believe in you and I fear the day of judgment, and yet I sin, I have bad thoughts, I do this, I do that. So that means I'm not sadiq. At least I am not worthy of that title from Allah. No offense, but you may call me a sadiq and I call you a sadiq, and we are friends, right? But none of us, again, no offense, are worthy of receiving that title from Allah, that He's commanding others, every believer, to be with them. Be with them means what? Follow them. Wherever they go, be with them, right? So that light, was that a question, light, or the aha moment light? In the chat, please elaborate. Great. So there are more into this. The command, let me ask you this. Where does this command expire? When does the command expire? While you are thinking, okay, never. Very good, never. But is Allah referring to absolute truthful here, or someone could argue that it could be just truthfulness in tongue or about a certain matter? When Allah is using as-sadiqeen, right? The term is absolute here. The ones that, again, they are the ones that Allah has called them as-sadiq. Remember the signature of Allah, Brother Mudabbir and everyone else. Does he call me as-sadiq? Who am I? Like, shame on you with this example. But anyone that has any doubtful moments, it cannot be called as-sadiq. And also remember, there's another point there that tells us how significant is that the word as-sadiq. Ayah is commanding who? Believers to be with that person. You see what I'm saying? Like, that shows that this is something like higher than all believers, that everyone, that they are God-weary, they are pious, they are muttaqi, attaqullah, but on top of that, be with the truthful. So that group that Allah is commanding us to be with is like a leader, like someone that we have to be with them, all the believers. So it is showing that that group or those people are like higher rank, are the ones, again, that Allah is referring to be with them, to go with them. Does that make sense? Now, let's see, very interesting, let's see what both Shia scholars and Sunni scholars, they have said about this ayah. Very interesting topic here. So I mentioned the continuity of the command. Oh, I didn't. I asked the question. I didn't go back there. I asked, when does the command expire? You said in the chat, never. Absolutely not. Never. Yes, because the command is continuous. Be. Whoever is believer at all time is the subject of this command. And guess what? If the command was about something that is not executable, I cannot act upon it, that the command is useless, is what is a good word, like aimless, is cheap, is lame, whatever word that you use, right? So that command being at all time and continuous without an expiration date, that means at all time, till Quran exists, till that command exists, there should be an as-sadiq, so I can be with. Otherwise, that command is broken, is wrong. Does that make sense? Did you follow the logic? If I tell you, oh believers, for example, oh believers, be God wary, and every day at 12 o'clock, go under the shade of a tree or the tree, right? That command makes sense as long as the tree exists. If you're in the middle of desert, for example, I made that up, and there is no tree, you're like, bro, what was that command? There is no tree that I can go under its shade. Are you out of your mind? Allah's command that at all time, kunu ma'as sadiqin, O believers, till day of judgment, till Quran exists, be with the truthful. There should be someone, at least one person, qualified to receive that title from Allah, so I can be with him. I can be with them. So that command makes sense. Otherwise, it's Allah, again, his signature is question that you are commanding something that I cannot execute. I cannot obey. I cannot follow that. So that's wrong. Does that make sense? It's so amazing how stopping for a moment. Yes. Ahsant. MashaAllah said. Since I really like friends that they put things in the chat. Good. Since this verse application never stops applying to us, we can conclude that there should always exist a truthful one for us to be with. Hence, it proves the existence of Imam Mahdi. Yes. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Insinuating then that there will always... Yes. Again, remember, always, you may say, oh, of course, our friends, our neighbors are all truthful. Yes, you and I are calling them truthful, which is fine. I'm not saying that's wrong. We should not call them truthful. We should call them liars. No. But this is the signature of Allah. So there should be always a person, at least, to be eligible, qualified to receive that title. And this logical argument that we had is something that even the Sunni scholars have said. So that was, my point is, like, as Brother Mudabbir mentioned, say it, that once we pause and ponder and think about these ayat, not just reading quickly and reciting with a beautiful voice and move on. No, just pause and ponder and reflect. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? Why they are not pondering and reflecting on Quran? That's what Quran is for, to ponder on, to reflect. It's just the book of guidance, the light of guidance, eternal guidance. So, I mentioned the continuity of the command and the Allah calling them truthful. These are the bullets. Allame Majlisi Rizwanullah alayh. First, we mentioned his point. We discussed it, but just for the sake of discussion, he says that the entire ummah, entire Muslim ummah, they agree that Quran is for all times, like throughout history. لا يختص بزمان دون زمان. It's not exclusive to one time and not the other time. You remember when I mentioned this about the Prophet being the refuge? At all time, Prophet is our refuge. He's a witness. And Quran is eternal. فلا بد من وجود معصوم في كل زمان ليصح I think أمر مؤمني كل زمان بمتابعته. In order to that command be something that makes sense, it should be at all time a ma'soom, an infallible, which Quran in this ayah is calling them as-sadiq or as-sadiqin. Before we go to what Fakhr Razi has said about this, I want to mention those you may read the book or heard about the book لنكون مع الصادقين. Allama Tijani wrote a book when he converted to Shia Islam after being a long-time Sunni scholar. One of the books that he wrote, the title was Let's Be or We Should Be with the Truthful. And he was implying this ayah that is commanding us to be with Ahlul Bayt, to be Shia. All right. So now, Sister Zahra, you have the right to appoint a volunteer to read. How about that? Is it in English? Yes, I will mention the book here. Let me put it in the chat. While a volunteer is getting ready to read the Fakhr Razi's argument for us. Yes. He has many books. One of the most famous one is ثم اهتديت, Then I Was Guided. But he has another book called لأكون مع الصادقين. I said لنكون, لأكون. I should be with the truthful. Let me see the English, how they translated it. To be with the truthful. Let me be with the... Yes. Here is the book. It's on Al-Islam and it's also in archive. Yes. Did anyone put it in the chat? No. Okay. I do this. This is one. I can send the PDF to you as well, Brother Mudabbir. Okay. We don't have any volunteer to read for us?
Are you asking me to pick a volunteer?
I ask you to appoint someone as your successor if you want. If you want to read,
no, I can do that. I can do that. I'm saying I can appoint a volunteer.
Okay, that makes sense. Do that, please.
Okay, Noah, do you want to go?
She's not available, but I can do it for you.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's either you or Noah. That's what I was thinking.
Where can I read from?
The English. Do you see? This what you see on the screen is not Quran or Hadith. This is an argument by Fakhreddin Razi that we mentioned. I skipped the Arabic, but the English is interesting. Go ahead, please. Okay. This is his argument.
Allah commanded the believers to be truthful, and when it is obligatory to be with the truthful, there must be truthful individuals present at all times. We say, acknowledge that there must be an infallible ma'soom in every era. However, we assert that this infallible is the collective body of the Muslim community, whereas you assert that this infallible is a single individual among them.
I leave it with you and your conscience and your fairness. Everyone, whoever is the audience of this from Fakhr Razi. At the beginning of the first part of the argument, both of us, both Allama Majlisi and Fakhr Razi, they're saying the same thing, which makes absolute sense. We may have not thought about it, but it makes sense. That, again, Allah is commanding believers to be with the truthful. And when it is obligatory to be with the truthful, there must be a truthful individual present at all times. This guy himself is saying, لابد, it's very interesting there. نحن نعترف بأنه لابد من معصوم في كل زمان. There is no doubt that there should be an individual that is infallible. Point being, as Sadiq, he also understood from it infallibility. But he says, you know what? You Shias, you are saying that infallible is an individual among them. We say that infallible is the collective body of the Muslim community. Subhanallah. Like, I am baffled. Like, so, first of all, listen to this, like, I think we can finish by this ayah. We still have 3 minutes. I don't know where to start, to be honest. Okay. Imam al-Mushakkikin, Ya Fakhr Razi, you are a nerd, right? You are scholar. You are saying that the ma'soom, that the ayah is referring and commanding all the Muslims to be with is the collective body of the Muslims? Does it make sense? All believers, Venn diagram. We are a subset. And then you are telling us to be with the M that is inclusive of us. We're already there. So that command doesn't make sense. You see my argument? Let me chat. But the point is that even though we are believers, we cannot be a pure form of truthful. Yes, that's true. But how does that make sense? It doesn't, brother. Yes. How can it be the collective? That's point number one. We are part of the collective body of the Muslims. How can be with them, first of all? And second of all, which is more important in my opinion, like seriously, you are telling me collective body of Muslims is ma'soom, is infallible? Can you give me one example that the collective body of the Muslim, they have agreement on? No offense, don't be scared, but even Qibla, how many opinions do we have? Yes, when you are in Mecca, it's easy to do the Qibla, but when you are in North America, some people they say direct line, some people they say shortest path. Which one? Collective body of the Muslims? I feel like he understood the challenge. He's smarter than not getting the challenge. But by that, you should accept that your entire belief system is shaky, because it's very obvious the argument that they have at all, and it matches exactly what we believe, the monumental belief that we talked about, which is existence of an infallible guide from Allah at all time. Is he? I mean, I can't read the intention and say that, but I leave it at that. Okay, because we have talked about this, let me just go one more slide. That is just a reminder slide, just in this context of the Quranic verses related to Imam Then inshallah we can wrap this up. We talked about the concept of witness, right? And I put like some of the ayat, like 4 here, that how that group of ayat can be used also in the discussion of imamah. When it says a witness من أنفسهم, a witness من أنفسهم, شهيدا عليهم من أنفسهم, that means, again, I'm talking about the 4th ayah. At all time, as long as mankind exists, there is a witness from them, among them. It's not an angel, من أنفسهم. It's a human witness that exists that is worthy of being called in the court of Allah, court of justice, to be the witness, and he has the power, the capability to be the witness of the deeds of the entire community ummah at that time. So I don't want to repeat because we talked about it in early sessions, but I just want to remind everyone that ayah has a great application in the concept and the context of imamah. Okay, any comment, any question? Did what we discussed tonight make sense? I don't know. Any heartburn, anything? Screaming, yelling, nada, hey daddy, whatever. Let me see the chat. Okay, great. I think friends on APSA confirm. I think we have, based on what we have announced, we have 3 more sessions, inshallah. Next week we'll be, inshallah, reminding ourselves about the how grateful we are for the bounties that Allah has bestowed upon us, and for Thanksgiving. And then the week after, I think we can resume. I don't know about the logistics, Sister Noor or other friends in APSA. Should we meet in person at Mason, or it would be other plans?
We're gonna try to get a room at Mason. If not, then we're gonna have it online again.
Okay, I don't know about the like the semester and all. If friends are not on campus, I mean, I think it worked tonight. I don't know, again, based on the interactions and things that
Everyone likes it a little more in person because it's more engaging. I think I do as well. So if we're not able to find a place at Mason, we can also look at different venues just so we can finish it out being in person.
Okay, perfect. All right,
Inshallah.
so stay tuned. Inshallah, we will announce and communicate next session, which will be in 2 weeks, either online or in person, inshallah. Any comment, any question, anything before we recite the dua and adjourn? Okay. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. صلى الله عليك يا مولانا يا أمير المؤمنين. Sorry, because there was a question. If the collective body is infallible, isn't that argument used against Ahlul Bayt in Karbala? Ahsant. Very good. I quickly skipped that part, but yes, there are a lot of examples that basically rejects what Fakhr Razi said about the collective body of Ummah. Again, he's referring to something that doesn't exist. Let me put it this way. Where is that? I want to be with the collective body of Muslim. Where should I go? Should I be Hanafi? Should I be Hanbali? Should I be Ja'fari? Should I pray like this? Should I do this? Should I do that? There's no reference. It's just pointing out to something that doesn't exist. شخص غير موجود. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وغائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your participation and flexibility. I really appreciate it. Jazakumullah khaira. Inshallah, see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.